Today, the topic is redefining product ownership, navigating budgets, evidence, and strategy. Thank you, organizers, for inviting me to the conference. I'm very happy to be here with you, even it's a virtual connection, but still we can feel this connection together. So maybe I will start about introducing myself. And I'm Magdalena Firlit. I'm a professional Scrum Trainer at Scrum.org, and I mentor people and coach people towards agility, towards business, and towards achieving results in organizations. I'm also a lecturer at universities, entrepreneur. I run my company, and also I'm volunteer for Women in Technology. I help some organizations a lot and to develop people. Just simply like that. Let's start our topic. So first of all, we need to understand about what is product ownership and who is a product owner. So understanding this accountability, because what I observe in many organizations, actually, I cooperated with over 70 organizations. Now it's 74 companies I cooperated with, or I work directly in those organizations, in some of course of them. So this is like a huge research I did in those organizations. Those are my observations I have, and that's why I'm going to share it with you all. So understanding the accountability is the most important thing first. So let's focus on it first. And what it is that product owner accountability in companies is very often misunderstood. And what does it mean? It means that very often we perceive product owners as user story writers or just product backlog items writers. And actually they are not. And also we consider product owners as proxy between business or strategies and delivery. So stakeholders perceive product owners as just proxies. This is not the accountability all about. Requirements analyst is another application of misunderstood, of course, product ownership. It leads to not being a decision maker, not a visionary, or not a customer representative. That's sad, but this is what it is. This is what I observed in companies. And what are numbers? The numbers are that based on my research, it's more or less 75% of product owners are not empowered enough to perform their job actively and to be successful and to improve customer satisfaction and to improve profit margins and increasing competitiveness. So there are plenty of things we can do with empowered, actually, product owners, but they are not. 75% of product owners are not empowered. That's a huge number, right? And we would like to change it. So how we are going to change it? First of all, we need to emphasize that product owner is the owner of the product. In the name, in this term, think about it. Owner of the product, not writer of items or someone else, or being not a decision maker. The person who is proxy is not the owner. So think about it. I would like to inspire you right now and to rethink your product ownership. If you are a product owner or the person who helps a product owner, just think about it, how you can help empower this accountability. So let's redefine it and the true essence of the product ownership. This is what we would like to achieve today. And during this short talk, we would like to really think about redefining and finding the true essence. So as I promised at the very beginning, reading you the title of this talk, I'm going to go through 3 dimensions: evidence, strategy, and budgeting. Of course, this is not the entire product ownership, which is actually product management as well. It's not everything, so please remember about it. But we can at least touch those three dimensions and these three essential components of product ownership. So let's start with this slide, and I'm going to share with you right now evolution of the product owner and what it is, evolution of the product owner. There are 5 levels, and when product owners can evolve actually or place yourself, and vertically we have benefits expected from each level of product ownership, and of course horizontally we may have different stances of product ownership. And the first of all, it's scribe and proxy. And remember, this is only a receiving mode. So this is the proxy I mentioned before, a story writer, or someone else who is not empowered enough to make decisions. That's what is very important for us. And what we would strive for, it's initiating mode. And this mode starts with business representative, with sponsor, and then finally with entrepreneur. So the stance of the product owner, what is expected and is most effective for everyone, is actually being an entrepreneur. And this is what we would like to achieve, and this is what I would like to discuss today during this talk. So let's move on and let's see how we can start with being an entrepreneur. And first of all, think about navigating evidence. And this is what we would like to really have. So think about defining value. And my suggestion here and my advice here will be, what is valuable for our customers and users? This is what we need to think about it. And this is what we need to define value. Even if you start as proxy and scribe, you can start discussing it in your organization. You can start talking with some people to empower yourself, to move through a business representative towards entrepreneurship. Okay? And think about at the same time what is valuable for our organization. What would be? And measure value. This is also what we need to define, right? So defining value, what it is, and then how are we going to measure it? So don't measure irrelevant metrics. For example, irrelevant metrics might be lines of code, maybe. Does it bring any value? No. The outcome from those lines of code would be valuable, of course. So examples of relevant metrics like customer outcomes, and of course thinking in terms of your organization like revenue or cost. This is what would be very valuable for your organization and achieving some value. And also I would here emphasize maximizing value, because the product owner, of course, is the owner, as we mentioned before, but also is a value maximizer. So defining value, measuring value, and defining potential value. So what would be in our product valuable, both for our customers, but also for our company, like for example, market share or potential opportunities that our organization may have. So define potential and also define actions that are leading you toward maximizing this value. Another example here would be customer satisfaction gaps. So this is something also what we need to mention here. So this is a potential when it comes to customers and their opportunities, and that's our potential. How we can fulfill their gaps, what we should do. Still, we are in the topic of navigating evidence, and also, besides that, we need to define value and measure it and define potential value, so our upcoming future. Also, we need to define who is our customer. So everything is about knowing your customers, about knowing your users, about having data and not having assumptions. not only assumptions, but we need to have some data about customers. And this is what I also observe in our industry, that people, product owners, tend to say, I don't know really my customers. I have no access and I have no information about them. So I don't really know what they need, what they want, or what value we can create for them, or maybe we can create some need for them, but doesn't exist right now at this moment. So about knowing your customers, just think about it and think how you can get some information and knowledge about customers. Here also I provided users, because in some organizations we also have differentiation between customers and users. Sometimes also consumers, we tend to name them. So there are plenty of different names and roles. So that would be user role modeling. And of course, you need to adjust it to your product, to your organization, and how it's defined. But regardless of the naming, and or it's a customer or it's a person who uses our product, and that would be a user, or a person who pays, and that would be our customer. So regardless of naming and roles, we need to know those people. Ideally in person if possible, but if you have millions of users and customers, probably it's not possible to know everyone, but at least some groups, at least some market research, you need to have some data. So that's very important really to have knowledge about it. Let's move to the strategy. Right now, we are discussing about navigating through strategy. So how product owner can use a strategy. And again, many product owners, they have no idea what is a strategy for their product. Or very often, someone else does a product strategy for them, and vision, of course, product vision. So mostly there are product managers or business owners or different kind of owners, but not product owners. And this accountability of the product owner is scattered through many people, other people than only one person who should be a decision maker. And also I observe very beneficial outcomes when a product owner has a strategy. So that's important, because in a product strategy, you can include revenue, cost, all information about customers, what we mentioned before. You may include their communication, engagement with your customers. You can include their channels, that you are going to sell your products, and revenue streams, and maybe some providers, but you need to be in touch with them and define them. Also, you can include stakeholders. So everything that is important for running just smoothly your product or information that you need. And product strategy should be a living artifact as well, right? Because when the strategy is changing, sometimes product owners, they don't update their strategy, not at all. Of course, if they have it, but when they don't have it, it's the great opportunity actually for you right now to rethink it. What I can do to create a product strategy and a vision. If you don't have it, if you have it, let's think about updating it. Or if you have it, but you are not involved at all, and you are not completely engaged in defining and creating those artifacts like strategy or vision. So this is the great opportunity to think right now how I can do it. So how I can be involved, how I can be more engaged in creation and updating it. So that should be product strategy that anticipates market trends and customers' value, of course, and company's value. I mean business value right now, like revenue or maybe cost saving, and those things that are important for every organization. And right now, we are moving from the strategy to budgeting, because budgeting is a part of the product strategy. And also very, very often I meet product owners that are not aware. So frequently people are not aware about having budgeting part in their product strategies. Of course, it means that they are not empowered, but also sometimes there are plenty of other people, especially in a corporate environment. So completely there is no opportunity for product owners to be involved in this process. Regardless of your situation, I would strongly recommend you to be interested in it, because it can move you into the entrepreneurship mode. Yeah, from this our chart I showed you at the very beginning. So that would be something that can help you to be more empowered and perceived in a more professional way as a product owner with full responsibilities of a product ownership. So product strategy includes budgeting, includes revenue, cost, but also how much money we have for our initiatives in our product, for our features or epics or other activities you may have in your product development. So it is like management an entire product life cycle. And when it's agile, and we do hope that it is agile, we need to update it very frequently. So inspect and adapt your budget. It's of course in a nutshell. Right now I'm saying it about nutshell and without some plenty of examples, of course, because we have time limitation for this talk. But that would be something that I hope inspire you for further research and further development. Also, this budgeting should include planning and forecasting for your future investments. That would be very important. Another thing regarding the strategy and budgeting would be aligning your features, your things you are going to produce, you desire to produce with financial goals and customer value. This is something very rare, and I like it very much because I've seen it working perfectly in many organizations, but still there is plenty of opportunities for you product owners to just refine it and to apply it in your organization. So, for example, when you have your financial goal and when you have your feature and when you have your customer value, this is all about thinking and aligning those three dimensions or ingredients, whatever we can call them. So think about it, how we can combine those three dimensions together. When it comes to innovation and budgeting, also there is another topic, and we can balance our innovations with, of course, investments. So how this investment would be for us beneficial, and how many innovations we can actually produce at this moment, and how we can balance it to achieve the best possible value. Remember, you are a value maximizer. And also there are some environments, like for example banking environments, when you need to deal with several things, like for example some regulations or some other requirements that are coming from some institutions, and you have no other opportunity to avoid them. You just need to do them, because otherwise you will be fined or wiped out of the market. Depends, of course, on the situation and what is the regulation you received. So we need to balance it. And sometimes product owners, they complain that completely I cannot be innovative because of having those regulations. I think that we can always redefine it and think it, how actually we can balance our innovations with those things that we just have to deliver because of the law and so on, of some other institutions. And also being financial savvy might lead to significant product success. Like, for example, I've noticed that creativity increased. because we are fluent in, for example, product owners that are fluent in this financial world, or they are in cooperation, in touch with people who are really fluent in it. So we can think better about balancing all those things, and about effective also risk management, about our innovations, about being cost efficient. So you, as a product owner, you don't need to be the person who has a certain degree, but what you need to do, you need to be in touch with other people who can help you make a better decision. For example, funding and investment justification. That also would be something that would be beneficial from the budgeting point of view. And also, when it comes to the topic of long-term and short-term financial planning, remember that in agility, we need to very often inspect and adapt. So we may have long-term financial planning, we might have our long-term goals. However, everything might be changed based on the current situation, based on circumstances that can come up at any time, actually. So think in terms of taking care of your budgeting as well. And also, that would be extremely important to make evidence-based decisions. Decisions that they are not coming from our intuition. Sometimes, of course, we may have some intuition, but if we have some intuition and we think that that would be a great idea, or another situation, your stakeholder comes with the perfect, great idea, but it is intuition-based. So we need to run an experiment in that case and verify and validate if our assumption is really something that would be beneficial for customers, for our organization, and for everything that we can have in our product. So we need to run an experiment if you don't know. Ideally, when we have data, ideally. So you can have your data from your product, some data you can obtain automatically from your software that you can use for measuring it. And sometimes you need to also just talk to your customers and observe them. So that would be something that can also enrich your data and your board with your metrics. I hope you have some boards with metrics or some other visualization, how you can make a decision without evidence. Yeah. So think also in terms of how we can adapt to changing market needs and have data, current data, of course, and make a decision based on those facts you have. And remember about shifting from intuition-based into the evidence-based. As a summary, I prepared just the set of advice where to focus to improve your product ownership and your ownership. So we mentioned about value maximization. We mentioned about customers. So know your customers, have your product strategy and vision, or at least be involved in creation it. You must, of course, as a product owner, manage your product backlog. But managing product backlog, it doesn't mean that you need to write down everything in details. Managing means that you can update it, you can remove some items, you can add some items. So there are plenty of things you can do. You can discuss it, enrich it in details, of course, but it doesn't mean that you need to write everything down, all details, all acceptance criteria, all tasks, etc. So managing doesn't mean that you need to write down everything. And stakeholder management. We haven't discussed it so much in this talk because this is not the full topic of the product ownership, as I mentioned before, but at least that would be some mentioned here to inspire you. Okay, I need to manage my stakeholders. Managing stakeholders doesn't mean that you fulfill their all desirables. No, it means that you manage stakeholders also for rethinking. Another set of inspiration and actually summary of this talk, it's experimentation. This is what we mentioned, together with evidence-based management. Have data, current data, obtain them if you don't have it, of course, and make decision based on facts, based on evidence. If you don't have any data, just run an experiment. And think about market and competitors. Also, it should be included in your strategy. And it should be also reflected in the pricing strategy. You may have also pricing strategy if your product is something that you can sell externally to the market. Of course, if you have internal products inside the organization, maybe market is the thing that we can discuss it, of course. That would be also interesting. But competitors you may have, even having an internal product. This is what I often meet in organizations when they have internal solution for themselves, but at the same time, company, they consider having some solution outside the company, from the market. So even if you have your internal product, even if you need to just think about also your competition, because even though you may have it, and then you have external product, absolutely it's obvious that you need to have knowledge, you need to have data about market share, market potential share, and your competitors. We discussed budget, cost, revenue, everything what we discussed today, and also product owner to improve and enrich their ownership. They need to think about marketing and sales and be in touch with those people who are accountable for both marketing and sales, if the product is of course external. That's all. That was short talk. However, I hope it would be inspirational for you. And I wish you all the best decisions with your products, great involvement in everything, in financial planning or in your budgeting, of course, in your strategies and visions and evidence and everything that you help you navigate the product and redefine your role as a product owner. Okay, redefining your role as a product owner. Thank you so much. If you have any questions, just write. This is the email address I can be responsive at. And wish you again the best and see you